I'd like to call the Gurnee Village Board regular meeting of July 15th, 2019 to order. Roll call, please, Jack.
Balmas.
Present.
Hood. Here. Thorstensen. Ross.
Here.
Garner.
Here.
O'Brien.
Present.
5 present, 1 absent.
All right, and Trustee Thorstensen did let us know she wouldn't be able to make it tonight, and Jack will be filling in as the recorder. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, our first item of business is approval of the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion from Trustee Balmas, second by Trustee Garner. Roll call, please, Jack.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood. Yes. Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
5 yes, 1 no, or 1 absent.
Motion carries. Patrick, please read the consent agenda into the record.
Item number 1, approval of the minutes from the July 1st, 2019 Village Board meeting. Item number 2, approval of purchasing 1 year of Cisco SmartNet maintenance services from the State of Illinois contract holder CDWG in the amount of $57,614.74. Item number 3, approval of payroll for period ending July 5th, 2019 in the amount of $914,259.48. Item number 4, approval of bills for period ending July 15th, 2019 in the amount of $1,208,850.07.
Thank you, Patrick. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as read into the record?
Second.
Motion by Trustee Garner, second by Trustee Ross. Roll call, please.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
5 present, 1 absent.
All right, motion carries. We'll move on to petitions and communications. The first is approval of a proclamation designating August 4th through 10th, 2019 as National Stop on Red Week in the Village of Gurnee. The Village of Gurnee is building broad, community-based partnerships to increase awareness on the widespread problem of red light running. And in 1998, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the American Trauma Society established National Stop on Red Week to set aside 1 week of every year to raise public awareness about this completely preventable and deadly form of aggressive driving. And red light running is the leading cause of urban crashes, according to the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. In 2017, 890 people were killed and an estimated 132,000 were injured nationally in red light running crashes. And the nearly 2/3 of the deaths and injuries from red light running related crashes were people other than the red light runner, including bicyclists, pedestrians, and occupants of other vehicles. And the financial cost to the public of all crashes exceeded $390 billion each year. And red light safety cameras reduced traffic fatalities by 24%. And more than 37% of drivers admit to running a red light in the past 30 days, despite the fact that 55% of the participants said it is a very serious threat, and 92.8% acknowledged that running red lights is unacceptable. Now therefore I, Mayor Christina Kovarik, do proclaim that the week of August 4th through August 10th is hereby designated as 2019 National Stop on Red Week in the Village of Gurnee. I urge everyone to reduce crashes, injuries, and the tragic loss of life by stopping for red lights. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee O'Brien, second by Trustee Balmas. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Not under petitions and communications, but we are not ready for our plan committee. The whole meeting this month, we're going to move the topic of the legalization of marijuana to the August meeting. So do I have consensus to not hold a committee of the whole meeting next week?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee
Second.
Balmas, second by Trustee O'Brien. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. We have no other petitions and communications, so we are going to move on to reports. Our Community Development Director and Assistant Village Administrator, David Ziegler, is going to tell us and explain to us what our options are with the Stearns School Tollway Bridge Replacement Project. It's a mouthful.
Okay.
So David, you can just take it away.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor, Board of Trustees. We were approached a couple of weeks ago by Lake County and the Illinois Tollway. There is a current plan in place to replace the Stearns School Road Bridge over the tollway. Currently, that facility has 2 lanes of traffic plus the village's pedestrian bike path on the north side. The new plan is going to be to widen the abutments to provide more lanes of travel underneath. In addition, they're going to widen the Stearns School Road profile to provide an additional center lane throughout that roadway. As such, our bike path is no longer going to be able to exist in its current location. In 2005, the village participated with the county in the tollway to build it initially. We spent about $272,000 for embankment, for the pavement, for the railings, those types of things, to build the facility in that location. And then the tollway in kind built the bridge to accommodate the additional pedestrian bike path. We're basically looking at the same project again, now with the widened bridge. They're looking to us for a couple of different options. We can either keep it in place on the north side. Our estimated cost share is $825,000. The tollway cost to add the lane and all the fencing across the bridge would be $370,000. If we were to want to move it to the south side of the road, where it's more adjacent to Gurnee Mills on the west side and the Westgate subdivision on the east side, we're looking at about $2.2 million. The reason for that is the right-of-way is a little more limited there. We would need to build retaining walls that would kind of be throwaway retaining walls if and when the roadways ever widened again, so they wouldn't be able to be salvaged. So it was quite a bit more expensive to move it to the south side. So, like I said, about $2.2 million to relocate the same facility to the south side. The third option, which was a concept that was brought up by the county, leave the bike path on the north side as is, so the $825,000. The county would participate in an additional pedestrian facility on the south side to the tune of 80%. So their proposal is a 6-foot wide sidewalk on the south side of the road, in addition to the 10-foot wide bike path on the north side. That would give a little bit better accessibility to the residents of Westgate across the bridge to the Gurnee Mills, and as well as maintain the 10-foot bike path on the north side. With the 6-foot width, there's no need for the retaining walls that were going to be triggered with the 10-foot width, and they'd basically build it up against the curb line, so it'd be a carriage walk style sidewalk, so it'd be tied up against the edge of the pavement as another option for pedestrians traveling across the bridge. So as this is a 2020 scheduled construction project, they're looking for feedback from us as to what direction we would like to go with the different pedestrian options, so that they can build those into their design and get it out to bid ready for 2020 construction. They've also offered to give us extend the financing over a couple of fiscal years if that would be beneficial to us.
So with option 3, they have to cross Stearns School Road, though, to access the bridge itself?
No. Option 3 includes both the bike path on the north side as it sits right now, so you'd have to cross Stearns School to access the bike path, and have a sidewalk adjacent to the roadway pavement on the south side of Stearns School Road.
But not across the bridge?
Across the bridge as well. So it'd be
Oh,
both.
so we'd have both.
We'd get
Okay.
both. And because the county's participating,
All right.
because it's considered a new pedestrian facility, the county's would be participating at 80%, where if we keep it on the north, it's not a new facility. If we switch it to the south, it's not a new facility, so both of those would be 100% borne by the village. However, if we add pedestrian improvements, the county will participate in that addition.
Questions from the board? Questions? Trustee Hood?
Option 3, what was the cost of that for
Sorry.
us then?
Option 3 was an additional $125,000 over the option 1, so it's $825 for option 1, $2.2 million for option 2, and $950,000 for option 3. Sorry, failed to mention that.
Thanks.
And we can't not do anything because it's really the only east-west north of Grand for bicyclists or pedestrians, because the state will not let us do anything on Grand, period. Trustee Ross?
I like option 3.
I think it's a good bang for the buck.
Yeah, I would go for option 3 too, getting the county involved.
My question with option 3 is Lake County, their cost would be $500,000. Why isn't there a cost for option 1 and 2 for Lake
Because
County?
options 1 and 2 are maintaining existing facilities. Option 3 is adding additional facilities. So they will only participate if they add additional pedestrian facilities.
Mayor,
Trustee O'Brien?
I just want to point out that I too am in favor of option 3. For basically doubling our pedestrian capacity, we're spending an extra $125,000. So we're getting $1 million in benefit almost for $125,000.
Yeah, I say we got our money's worth from 2005. I mean, a lot of people use that pedestrian bridge. Okay, is that what you need? I mean,
I'll take
Got
that as a general
consensus?
consensus for
yeah, I
option 3.
mean,
I'll-
yeah, option 3. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we prefer not to have an unexpected $950,000 expense that we weren't counting on, but walkability, bikeability, very important, so.
And I'll work with Patrick and Brian. There'll be an intergovernmental agreement at some point that we'll have to bring forward, and we'll work out that financing aspect of it with Patrick and Brian.
Yeah, see if we can spread it over a couple of years.
Comes out of that capital improvement plan. So unrelated to this, since they're tearing out Stern School Road to make room for additional capacity and lanes on the tollway, does that mean we can anticipate Grand Avenue being torn out for additional capacity?
No, the Grand Avenue Bridge, when it was rebuilt 5-6 years ago, it was built with additional capacity. They didn't touch the Stern School Road Bridge. If you notice, as you go under Stern School Road, they call it the Oasis Squeeze. So there's not a whole lot of room off the edges of the pavement. There's not a full shoulder on both sides. So they're wanting to have that full shoulder and, give a little more space underneath the bridges.
So would that be 5 lanes in each direction then?
There's no current plans to widen the tollway any further. It's just anticipating future and as well as eliminating kind of that safety squeeze issue
Okay.
that there's there now.
All right. Very good information. All right. Any other reports, Patrick, for tonight? Any old business?
Not tonight.
Thank you, David. All right, we will move on to new business. Hey, Brett. First item is approval of the Public Works Department recommendation to contract with Midwest Meter, Inc. at a cost of $19,000 and Tyler Muniz at a cost not to exceed $26,000 for software interface services related to the Beacon Advanced Water Meter Analytics Project.
Sure. So we've talked about this on and off throughout the multi-year capital improvement plan presentations. Our water meter software is being phased out and no longer supported. So Public Works has been working with the Finance Division and IS as it relates to updating that software and moving forward. The Beacon software is the recommended software package. It's provided by our current provider that we use now, Badger Meter. So as I said, Public Works, Finance, and IS has been looking into this. Obviously, to bill for water usage, the information that we receive from the meters needs to get along with our financial software. Hence these two costs related to the interface to make the two talk to each other. But tonight, Brett Fretzler, our utility supervisor, is going to kind of walk through the water meter, both software and upgrade program. It's going to be a multi-year program, so he's got some background information, and then we'll share what this new software will do compared to where we're at today.
Thank you,
Hi,
Pat.
Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Village Board. Thank you for having me. As Pat mentioned, Public Works, Finance, and IS has been discussing not only the meter reading software, but also the meter reading program in general. And I just wanted to take a few minutes and kind of give a broad overview of our current operations for water meter reading and where we want to head in the future. We've kind of come up with a three-phase process, which I'll kind of delve into here in a little bit. Our present metering system, we comprise of 9,800 water meters, both residential and commercial. We read the meters. We read half the village every month, and bills are received on a bi-monthly basis. We send an employee out, we drive the route, and we receive the meters through radio transmitter back to the vehicle. Basically, the average resident in Gurnee, they're going to get consumption data once every 60 days. So if your bill this month was 10,000 gallons, next month your reading is 20,000. It means you used 10,000 gallons somewhere in the last 60 days. And that's pretty much the extent of the information that we can provide to them right now. If we do any kind of final reads when somebody moves in or out of a unit, we have to visit the site to retrieve that. Rereads, we have to visit locations to retrieve that, and then if we have to try to retrieve more information, we can pull profiles from the houses, but again, we have to go out and physically do that. And that's basically done anytime someone has a question about their consumption, either bill's too high, which is usually the case, or bill is too low, which is much less likely.
Those people don't
The utility side of the interface with the existing Read Center software is basically primarily CSV file or Excel format. It's not terribly user-friendly, and the new software is. So this is a typical water service connection. You got your water main down here where the service line is connected. Goes through the yard about 10 to 15 feet behind the curb, which is the curb stop with the D-box that run on water in your yard. It's going to continue into your house where the water meter is usually typically either basement or crawl space for most properties. From the water meter, there's a wire that runs outside, to the outside of the house, where the remote reader, the Orion, is housed. So this is our public works facility here. It's just this little gray box, and then behind the gray box is the Orion remote reader. It's a small cylinder. The wire goes back to the meter. So it's that cylinder that transmits the signal back to our vehicle as we're driving by to collect the reads. As I mentioned, we've kind of broken the meter reading process into a three-phase program here. Phase one, and the item on the approval tonight, is replacing the meter reading software. The current Read Center software doesn't really meet the needs that we're looking to get from our software in the future and the way that we're looking to go in regards to customer service and information back from our meters. And as Pat mentioned, Read Center is going to be unsupported probably within the year. That means they won't be doing any kind of support or updates for it or really helping anybody out. I think we've had a Read Center for the last, well, since 2003, I believe we made the switch to Read Center. And like most things, they're phasing it out. The replacement for Read Center is Beacon. It's Advanced Meter Reading or Metering Analytics, AMA. We have it slotted in this fiscal year, and it would take about 6 months to complete the integration process. Badger Meter, along with Tyler Munis and village staff, all have to work together to basically write the interface for the meter reading software to talk to our finance software. Beacon is a cloud-based software, so there's no hardware or disks or anything like that we have to load onto our computers. It's updated automatically. The updates are automatically pushed through, and it can be retrieved from anybody with permission via internet connection. It's much more intuitive software. It's easy to use. It provides a lot of information at a glance rather than delving through CSV files and Excel reports to try to pull the information out of it. It gives it to you in a nice user-friendly window. There's increased data availability and analysis with it. It'll provide long-term tracking. Again, it provides the information right at your fingertips rather than pouring through CSV files and trying to compile it on your own. And basically the full potential of Beacon really comes into play and really is realized on a fixed network system, which I'll go into here in a second. As Pat mentioned, the interface process between Badger Meter and Tyler Munis is not to exceed $45,600, $19,000 for the Badger side of things, and then $26,600 for the Tyler Munis side of things. I know we've reached out to Roselle, which is a community that also has Tyler and Badger Meter, who just went through the Beacon process, and we received the exact same quote that they did, $26,600, and I know that their actual invoice, their bill amount, was considerably less. I think sub $3,000. So the $26,000 quote is, I think, their blanket quote that they give to everybody, and then they bill it as it actually happens. And the funds have been budgeted for this in this account here. Here's some examples of the utility interface. So when myself or my staff or utility billing staff would go into Beacon, these are some of the screens they're going to see. Again, this is sort of the at-a-glance information that is available. It'll tell you what percentage of meters have been read, ones that are missing results. It can calculate daily demand, consumption, identify leaks, and it'll provide tracking, consumption tracking over the course of the days. So again, this is the user interface that primarily utility staff, finance staff, village staff will see. Phase 2, and actually, so I'll back that up. There is also a customer portal involved with this that Beacon grants. So the customer portal allows the customer to access their own account, view their own usage, manage their usage, set up alerts, and I do go into that in a couple more slides here, but that is available through Beacon without anything else. Phase 2 would be moving towards a fixed network reading system. So currently we're doing a drive-by reading system. We drive the routes, the reads get pulled in to the vehicle, any kind of rereads or final reads, data extraction, again, that person has to go out to the location and pull that separately. And so that in combination with the current age of the Orions, they're 13 years old as of now. They're nearing the end of their service life. Batteries that 10 years ago aren't what they are today. We've seen a lot of improvements as far as battery life is concerned. So the old units only had a warranty period of 10 years, whereas the new ones have a warranty period of 20 years, 10 full and 10 prorated. So the service life of new units is much greater than that of the earlier models. So the amount of time we spend going out into the field to retrieve this information, combined with the age of the current system, the current Orions, has us looking at options for replacements. And right now we're looking heavily at a fixed network system. The idea behind a fixed network system is you get a lot more data at your fingertips, basically. Consumption data is available down to 15-minute increments. You will get a lot more customer service as a result of it. So If a customer calls up and they want to talk about their high consumption, we can pull up their consumption down to 15 minutes for every day, and we can tell them exactly when it happened. It's a powerful tool, basically. And again, that information is stored in the cloud, and each individual customer will have access to that information, which some of the slides will go into in a little bit here. And also, the fixed network system, with the increase in the detail and the information given, gives me greater accountability towards IEPA and IDNR staying in compliance reporting, basically. They are constantly getting stricter and stricter on the amount of detail that we enclose in our reports. They want defined periods for reporting, not just broad areas. You know, when we read every 60 days, our readings don't line up with the sample periods that they're looking for. And they are really pushing the advanced metering as well. This is an example of a fixed network. Basically how it works, you've got your meter, your Orion. This is a cellular version, but there are other antenna-based versions. It's going to report back to the cell antenna or another antenna, send the reading to the cloud, and then you can pull it up from your laptop, desktop, iPad, cell phone, whatever you have. Basically, like I said, anywhere with an internet connection, you can have access to your own personal account, and the village will have access to the accounts in general. These slides are a couple of examples of the customer portals that are available. So this would be something that the individual resident would be seeing for their specific account. They've got usage tracking down here, comparisons for the last 7 days to the previous 7 days. From this side, you can set up leak notifications. So if you're going out of town and you're not anticipating using any water, you can set your leak notification down to, like say, 10 gallons. So if more than 10 gallons goes through your meter, it'll text you or email you that you have a water usage problem. So I know we've had some residents, they'll go on vacation and they come home to a basement full of water, which is never appreciated. So this is kind of something that people can set up and really dive into their own usage and kind of manage it themselves. This is another graph that's available to the customer. It basically has overlays of the average temperature, the max temperature, the precipitation, and then their consumption on a daily basis over the last month. This is just examples of the mobile app. So a couple screenshots from cell phones of daily usage here. And then phase 3, what we're looking at is water meter changeouts. Water meters don't last forever. Basically, we're looking at replacing ones that are nearing the end of their service life, which is like 25 to 30 year mark. As meters age, they have moving components, and those components slow down, and what starts to happen is they start to under-register. So a meter that only registers 9 out of 10 gallons going through it means lost revenue for the village. So identifying those meters based on not only age, but also total consumption that's passed through it will help us recapture that lost revenue. Currently, approximately 50% of the residential meters are 20 years of age or older. And again, strategic replacement, not just replacing an entire area, but actually targeting meters of a certain age and certain consumption that go through it. And I believe that's everything that I had. Any questions? I know it's a lot to take in.
Yeah, I
again,
think,
so,
I think there's going to be a lot of questions, so don't go anywhere.
It's a lot to take in. Phases 2 and 3, we're still researching and reviewing the different options regarding fixed networks, because there's a couple different options on the table there. Meters, there's a handful of different meters available as well. But that's kind of the plan that we're looking at down the road here. right now, even if we never touched our Orions again or never touched our meters again, we would still have the need to upgrade our reading software, which is phase one and which is on the approval for tonight.
All right, and just for the board's clarification, we buy water and then deliver it to our residents. So if we don't collect it, we still have to pay for it. So it's a lot more than just the revenue. It's really out-of-pocket costs that come out of the general budget. So I have a bunch of questions, but I'll let the trustees go first. Questions?
In a minute.
You want to go? Trustee O'Brien? No?
Not yet.
Okay. Then I have a couple questions. The integration, I'm glad to hear that someone's done an integration, but usually once an integration's done, it's kind of an API or something, and it shouldn't cost the same amount each time to integrate. And once they built it, it may be more of a Christopher question.
Regarding,
The integration into our Munis system.
well, so Tyler, a lot of the integration process and the cost associated with it is Badger working with Tyler. They may have an interface set up for Roselle, for example, that
Right.
works with their version of Tyler.
So ours, okay,
We might have a slightly different
okay,
version.
that makes
Um,
sense.
And also, Tyler, they just kind of gave us a blanket proposal, which
Okay.
was exactly the same as Roselle's, and
All right, the
it was
customization
drastically
makes
more than
sense.
what Roselle ended up paying.
Are we going to be storing this data?
It will be, so it's stored in the cloud. We can store it locally, I'm assuming as well, Chris. I don't know if that's something that,
We have every time that we process the billing and pull that data down, we have that instance of it for historical purposes that we have the data retained for it. But as far as like the 15-minute increments, we would store that ourselves.
Okay. And because this is all, internet and
Right.
Wi-Fi based and everything, do these systems have redundancy and backup? So, if it goes down, what's plan B? What's the recovery, or do we just lose out on being able to bill if the system goes down?
well, if the system goes, so the Orions will communicate to the antennas or their towers. And basically, so even if the system were to go down for 8 hours or a day, as soon as that system comes back up or comes back online, they're going to start transmitting again, and they're going to transmit the actual read off the meter
Okay.
and everything before that.
All right. Is the customer portal an additional charge when we get to that phase?
The customer portal, it depends on the version of if we do a fixed network. If we go with cellular Orions, it's included in the cost of the cellular. If we go with a more traditional gateway where we own antennas on different properties, then there's a charge with that.
Okay. So, but that's a later decision?
Correct.
Okay. Wow, changing out water meters again. That was painful when we did it before. So here we go again. Trustee Garner?
How seamless is the data transmission? In other words, will there be any disruption in service?
No, we do not anticipate
Is it
any kind of
seamless?
disruption that's noticeable to the resident. When we made the transition to Munis, we ran multiple parallel reads to ensure that customers wouldn't notice the change in the billing, and a similar process will be used when we transition, or if we transition to Beacon, that we would be doing things in a redundant fashion to make sure there's no sort of interruption or problem with their bill.
Trustee O'Brien?
So this appears to be primarily a software issue. So is there going to be some kind of support or additional charge once we switch to the new readers, the new senders, the new meters that might be coming through? And then kind of in the same vein, does this immediately eliminate the drive-by collection of data or not?
Okay, so because the software is cloud-based, any kind of updates that are needed or required are automatically pushed through and seen on our end. And the support is there and included with it. In regards to the drive-by system is not immediately eliminated with the purchase of the Beacon software. We will continue reading in a mobile drive-by setting with the Beacon software until such time we discuss a fixed network one. And there is potential to, you can be switching to a fixed network system and still do partial drive-by, partial fixed network through the software. You don't have to run two different softwares or anything like that to accomplish that change out.
Thank you.
I know it's very labor intensive when somebody challenges their water bill and trying to recreate it and pull everything. And just over the last decade, people that winter, and invariably seem the minute you hit the border, something's leaking in your house and they don't find out for 3 or 4 months. So I know this solves that, and but it's also a very big decision that sets the course for the next 10 years, all the way out to 2025.
Right.
Trustee Ross?
2025 is when they start replacing the meters?
That's an anticipated timeline, yes.
So what happens between now and then if a meter breaks? Then do the new ones?
We are continually replacing meters as they are no longer registering. So if we go out and get our reads, our routine reads, and one of them has a problem or it's not reading or it stops reading, we will go out and replace that currently. The program that is anticipated starting in 2025 would be a large-scale change-out to remove meters that are under registering, still receiving and sending a reading to us, but under registering due to age and total consumption that's passed through it. So we'll continue to change out meters as needed.
So they're basically the same meters?
That hasn't been determined yet either. There are some ultrasonic meters with no moving parts that are on the market, and then the traditional style that we currently use as well.
Question for Brian. We had a plan, like a 5-year plan for the water rates. Is that coming up for reconsideration soon?
Our last increase that's already predetermined, I guess, is May 1st of 2020. And that's the last one on this plan. So we'll be discussing it fall of 2020.
And this would all be factored in?
Yeah.
Okay.
All part of it's included in the capital plan that we had talked about last year. We included it all the way out for 5 years. So depending on what the large-scale meter change-out brings and what that cost is, that'll be something like that.
Okay. Make sure we can pay for all of this.
Yeah, there is a placeholder in the capital plan right now for it.
Okay. Trustee Balmas?
And just to get it in my head, this software will work with whatever meters that we get down the road, the physical meters? Is that my understanding then?
Yes, and so the current software that we're using, the Read Center with the drive-by system, it reads whatever meter we have as long as it has that tube on it, that Orion endpoint on it. So we have census meters, Badger meters, any kind of other meter. It will read those meters as long as it has that endpoint on it. And the new software, the Beacon software, will continue to do the same thing. It'll read regardless of the physical meter that's installed in the house, as long as it has a transmitter that's associated with it, it will read it.
And there is kind of like a guarantee that that's how that meter thing will go, the physical meters, and
Yes, so,
we project that out to work with this software then?
yes. So we've been running the Badger Read Center software and then the Badger Orion endpoints since 2006. So that's the avenue that we're looking to pursue. And as Again, as with meters, when something goes bad, if a contractor does a siding job on a house and throws the Orion away, we come out and put a new one on. So that's kind of the approach that we're looking at moving forward, is that sticking with the Badger transmitter, the remote reader, the Orion, and then when we have some discussion on meters themselves, we'll review the different options that are out there. Census, Neptune, Badger, there's a bunch more other options that are out there too. We'll be looking at all of those options.
Thank you.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee Balmas, second by trustee Garner. Roll call.
Balmas?
Aye.
Hood?
Yes.
Ross?
Aye.
Garner?
Aye.
O'Brien?
Aye.
5A, 1 absent. Motion carries.
All right, motion carries. Excellent job, Brett. Thank you. I know there's a lot of moving pieces to coordinate, finance, IT, and that, but very well thought through. Thank you.
Thank you
Good
very
job
much.
presenting. All right, so item number 2, approval of police department's recommendation to contract with In Time Services, Inc. at a one-time cost of $7,500 and an annual reoccurring cost of $2,000 for custom payroll, import-export software enhancement. Hallelujah.
Yeah, so this is somewhat similar to the water meter interface here. So when you change your core financial system, all those other systems that need to be connected to it need to change as well or be updated. So that's what we have here with the In Time. The police department payroll process is very complex. You've got a ton of different pay codes. They work special assignments. There's scheduling variations between the two teams, and then you have multiple levels of staff within the department that take a look at it. Right now, it's a pretty manual process that a lot falls to the administrative support staff. Department's looking to upgrade that process with In Time, who is a current vendor that they use, interface with Munis so the information flows more directly in, and puts more onus on the employee themselves to make sure that all the time is coded correctly, vacation time off is all coded correctly, versus having admin staff look at it, then have to run back, or if there's an error on the payroll side, admin staff, again, involved being the middleman, running between finance and the officers over there. So the police department worked with finance, HR, and IS to look at the In Time solution. Following that analysis, the desire is to continue to work with In Time and have this interface put together so the information will flow into Munis. So as the mayor said, upfront of $7,500 and then $2,000 a year annual maintenance, which through the process, the police department was able to negotiate down. It originally started out at $10,000 and $3,000. They got it down to $7,500 and $2,000. So there's funding in the budget. They believe this will save time both on the police side as far as getting the payroll into Munis, and then on the finance and HR side, actually processing the payroll and getting our public safety personnel in the police department paid.
Paid correctly first time.
Yep.
Questions from the board? Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Motion by trustee Garner, second by trustee O'Brien. Roll call, please.
Balmas?
Aye.
Hood?
Yes.
Ross?
Aye.
Garner?
Aye.
O'Brien?
Aye.
5I, 1 absent. Motion carries.
All right, motion carries. We're getting so efficient. All right, that is the end of new business. I'll open up the floor to public comment. You can come to the microphone, state your name. Your address is voluntary, but we would like to have it. The microphone's right behind you.
Yes, my name is Bill Hall. I'm president of the Aberdare Estates Homeowners Association over off Almond Road, north of Woodland School. We have several of our homeowners here tonight, and we came to talk about a subject that we really like. That's our street lights. And About 2 months ago, we found out that you were converting over to LED, which is great. And we converted, personally, we converted our Christmas lights over to those about 5 years ago and saving a lot, so we applaud that effort. However, as we started to do a little due diligence about what was going to replace, I assumed that we were going to just replace the existing sulfur, high-pressure sulfur with LED, but then I found out that that's probably not the case. Then we found out that the poles that were going in there really were not of our liking. So after a little more due diligence, we contacted the village and we found out what it would cost to use the globes similar to you have out front here, which is what we have, and the fluted type of pole. They came back with a $59,000 expense, which I thought was a little exorbitant. So what I'd like to do is I have two homeowners that would like to speak just briefly about this, on how they feel about our association and that cost.
Okay.
Travis?
I have to write it down or I forget. Thank you for your time and attention this evening. And my name is Travis, as Bill said, and I'm a homeowner in Aberdare Estates. And my wife, Emily, sits on the Homeowners Association Board of Directors. But I'm here on behalf of and representing the voice of Unified Homeowners of Aberdare Estates. And we're requesting that the village maintain our neighborhood's prestigious design and classic, elegant look that the homeowners sought when they purchased homes in this neighborhood. With home values decreasing annually and sales prices dropping to all-time lows, we aim to keep a charming and prestigious look in our neighborhood and avoid changes which cheapen the appearance of our community, potentially reducing values even further. We need the support of the village to help stave off further diminishing of our community's value. Our neighborhood, once a highly sought-after community featured in Parade of Homes, steadfastly requests to maintain our current streetlight style. This fully encased, classical, and charming style of lights was an upgrade personally selected by the developer of Aberdare Estates. The proposed style, currently being piloted at both the intersection of Almond Road and Aberdare Lane, as well as on St. Andrews Lane, replaces the desired dome with a slip-on standard LED streetlight. This exposed style of light, designed in ordinary black plastic, completely takes away from the distinguished look our residents long to maintain. Our request to keep a domed, fully encased, and elegant street lamp is a simple yet very meaningful request that we ask the village to honor. So on behalf of all these folks here seated to my left, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Travis. I'm Greg Grenke. I guess I'm going to be up for the water meter change quickly because I've been a member of this community for 23 years. So have seen it once. I guess I'll be seeing it again. But thanks for your time tonight. As Travis said, we want to maintain the look and feel of our community. We noticed that what the village is requesting is not similar to what we have today. And we would just like to work with the village to try to maintain that feel. I think, Bill already mentioned there was an initial quote of $59,000 for us to have something similar to what we have today, which is not similar to the purchase request that you put in with the organization that you're buying from. Actually, that would be a delta of around $46,000. Since there was about $14,000 that were earmarked, I guess, for the 14 streetlights for our subdivision. I did have a chance to look at the quote that was built for that adjustment, and it turns out that was only for one light. And so I contacted the sales rep that works with the village. His name is Scott Johnson, and he's with Lighting Solutions of Illinois. And he said he would be happy to work with us with a more competitive quote, as well as with a solution that would be closer to what we have today and what we enjoy, as well as closer to the cost constraints that the village is trying to work within. Does he think he can get to the absolute same cost? He's not sure, but if given the opportunity, we think we could work with him to come up with a better solution. So we just wanted to request that, I know you guys have, someone mentioned the end of the month to put an order in. We know that you've replaced about 178 units to date, but we also would like to use that order to leverage the buying power of the village to come up with a more amenable solution, more cost-effective solution for our residents. So, thank you.
Let me make sure I understand, just 1 second. So, in the discussion you just saw on the water meters, we had this same discussion about lights probably 2 or 3 years ago and made a decision because, you know, obviously we want standardization across the whole village and not kind of pick and choose which neighborhoods get, you know, upgraded lights versus don't. But in your proposal, we had countered with the difference was for the 14 lights a certain amount of money. So you're saying instead of the difference, are you saying that you're willing to, if they'll negotiate with you separately, you want to go out on your own and just pay for whatever you want?
No, what I'm saying is the estimate that your team got was for one.
Times 14.
No, but what I'm saying is that the quote was only for one light, quantity one. So with a quantity of only one, there's no volume. So if we would have gotten a quote for 14, the rep said he could have done better on the pricing, number one, and secondarily, he said that there are other options that are more cost effective. For example, the globe that you put in the estimate is not the same globe as the one right out here. The one right out here would be acceptable to us. It doesn't need to have iron, it doesn't need to have that ornate piece on top. So there are various things we could do to minimize this additional cost if we're able to work.
Whatever we do for you, we have to do for everybody, so we have to consider that, because we're not going to start each subdivision kind of having their own lights. So that is a consideration here, but I believe the quote for one was our cost, right? So we already gave you the benefit of us buying in volume. So yes, we've decided on the light structure and the lamp thing and the LED, but we gave you our cost.
Right.
So we were asking if you wanted to go back to a different globe on top, that you'd pay the difference between the globe we're using across the village and what's the upgrade to what you'd like, just that difference. But again, it was at our cost.
Yeah. So I mean no disrespect, but the lamp that was selected that's going to replace us is not similar to what we have today. It's not similar to what you have out here in the village, and it's not even similar to what's going in across the street in another community. So I think our goal is to, if standardization was the ultimate goal by the team, that's not being accomplished.
And now the ones out here I wouldn't use as an example, because we test things, we've tried different things in our parking lot to see over time if we like them or not. But there should be consistency between Washington Park, Ravinia Woods, Aberdare, as far as the street lights go. So you're saying Washington Park got something different than what you're getting?
Yeah, what I'm saying is that we have two lights that are at the entrance to our subdivision, and they're one design. We have another one that's in our neighborhood already, and that's what prompted us to have this discussion, is that one is different in configuration again, and what is being proposed for the 14 is yet different again. So we can give you pictures, we can give you examples, but we're saying that the idea behind that being all consistent, it's not consistent today.
Well, Almond, again, is a collector road, so it has got to have a little different lighting, but we'll check it out. I don't know that we're doing, because, I mean, like my neighborhood's been switched over. It was pretty consistent. But we will go through it. I can tell you, and we'll meet with you. I mean, we don't have to do this by email. Obviously, if the reps offered you better pricing than we get at volume pricing, we'd definitely be interested in that, because, we assume we got very good pricing buying 148 at one time. If he's telling you he can do better than that, definitely would be very interested in that, because this comes out of our capital budget.
Well, no, I think, let me just clarify. What he's saying is that delta of 46, he can reduce that delta down on those 14 lights. I think that's the,
13 versus.
yeah, I think that's the point,
Okay.
is
Okay.
he could make it much more
Okay, all right.
reasonable.
So
And so
if
we'd-
that came down, would you be, again, we would just charge you the difference based on volume pricing? I mean, is that something you're still open to if we come back with better pricing?
What we'd prefer to do is we'd prefer to, as the premier community of the village of Gurnee, we would ask for your support and figure out how to work through that with your capital budget. What I would also add that, the property taxes for our subdivision are over $1 million a year. And I know that just a very small portion goes to the village.
Zero.
But
Zero.
exactly. But what I'm saying is, it goes to the community. So we pay a significant amount for the schools. We pay a significant amount for other infrastructure to support the community. So we're just asking you to consider something equivalent to what we have today.
Again, disparate treatment, because there's other neighborhoods that would use the same term about their, I mean, we all take pride in the neighborhoods, and I applaud you for that, and we want you to take pride in your neighborhood. Again, it is a disparity thing. So, but let's see if we can get better pricing. We won't do it like in a public comment setting or
Right.
by emails. I mean,
We can make,
we'll see if the rep will sharpen the pencil on our, pricing there and come back. But I can tell you, we're not going to pay for all of it, because if I do, we have to do it for every neighborhood, and I can tell you that won't happen. But we may be able to find something that's more palatable for the homeowners association.
Yeah. Is there also be an option just to change out our bulb and the glass enclosure and leave the post that we have today? If the
That I
post-
don't know. That I don't know, and I'll let you, we'll arrange a meeting where you can sit down with Public Works Director, and I know the poles that we use now, it's a maintenance issue. It's the way they're in the ground. It's when they get hit. So we're removing the poles that, are easier for us to maintain and replace faster. So there's a lot of things that go into this, and it's more of a long-term vision on our maintenance costs and stuff. But we certainly are not trying to harm neighborhoods intentionally. So let's see what we can do, and then we will arrange a meeting, whether you host it or we host it. We'll sit down with everybody and talk it through. It's usually more than just a light bulb and a light fixture. There's usually more that goes into it. But I do like it that the rep was willing to negotiate with you, so we'll negotiate too.
Absolutely. Well, he said he's been a friend of your staff's for a long time, so.
Yeah, and we've done business with him for a long time, so
Yeah.
maybe he got complacent.
I would end up by saying, what I don't want to have happen is, one day, and I'm retired, so I'm around a lot, I show up and they're changing all my streetlights, okay?
we're not going to do that.
That's what happened when they were putting the transfer station on Alman. All of a sudden, I got 12 trucks, and they're driving all over the sidewalk that I just paid $800 to the sprinkler guy. I know it's your sidewalk, we still maintain it, but I would have appreciated saving my work until after they were done with that.
And I would strongly suggest you sign up for the village's electronic weekly newsletter and our construction.
I read your
project
newsletter every week.
And we've been putting in there a lot of these plans. I mean, we try really hard to keep people abreast of. 'cause
No,
we
I want to
plan
be your
this
best
stuff-
friend. I
yeah,
want to be your best
We plan
friend.
this stuff out 2-3 years.
I just want to know what's going on so we can
Yeah,
coordinate it.
no, I
And
appreciate that.
I can't stress enough that we do not like the plan lamps
Okay.
that they're going to put in.
That point I got, we'll see what we can do, if you're willing to work with us. But just keep in mind, whatever we do for you, we always have to consider
I don't
everybody.
like to hear that. I heard that in the Army.
Yeah, if you could, leave the best contact, name and number with Jack. So when we
I will
set
use
this
it.
meeting up, and I'll make sure
I
that
will
I
use it.
attend, we'll get, yeah, all right. Yep,
In regards to the emissions from the handful of businesses here in the area. My understanding was there was some sort of an air monitor placed in front of the middle school earlier in June, and it was supposed to be gathering information for a 30-day period. Is that something that the village is involved with?
We're paying for it, so yes, we're involved.
Okay, and is that report available, or do you have a date on when
It's
it'll be available?
online. You can go to the village's website, www.gurnee.li.us/ETO. And there's a link directly to the report, which is sitting on the county site. The county's administering the project. So they have 6 days worth of testing. So it's alternating days and all that. So 6 days of testing are posted, including the windrows, which are very important. Then the last 3 days, which, we're doing random testing over the 30 days, should be out maybe this week. They're at the labs. So you can bookmark our site, or you can, once you link out to the county, you could bookmark their site. But everything's being published as we get it.
Okay. I will go and read it without having had the opportunity or knowing to do that yet. Is there anything you guys might share that's contained in the report?
At this point, it's just data, and it will be sent from here. The 30 days of testing will be sent to the ATSDR, the Agency for Toxic Substance, I don't know, but they're with the CDC, and they will do the health assessment. They will do a health risk assessment. So you just get raw data from these monitors,
Okay.
Numbers, which really don't have a lot to do with, you can't take the numbers, the emission numbers, and just say, here's the risk. So it will go to this division of the CDC, and they will do a public health risk assessment for us. That will be the more meaningful piece that you'll want to see. That could take several months.
Okay.
There's 2 companies, and they are putting in additional controls. They're going through the permit process with the IEPA, and once they get the additional controls in place based on some new legislation and new technology, then we're going to do another round of 30 days testing in the fall, once these controls are in. And then when we have all that data, that will also be sent to this agency of the CDC, and they will do a final public health risk assessment. So we're going to get a preliminary one based on the 30 days, and then we're going to do more testing in the fall, and then we'll get a final. So you're still looking at maybe 6 months before we get the final public health risk assessment, which would be most meaningful for you as a resident to be able to gauge what your risk is. The numbers, the risk that's been published now on the NATA maps is an estimate based on modeling and exposure over 70 years. This agency for the CDC will base it on what is really being emitted here. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Because I'm not a scientist at all.
I can tell you've learned a lot through the process.
Okay. But go to our website. We've got a lot of information. We have links to all different resources. I could give a seminar on ETO. All right. Any other public comment? All right. And again, please use our site and our information and the county site. That's the most reliable information, because I can see you're being hit on here. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee O'Brien, second by Trustee Balmas. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned.